Store chain CVS reported that sales at its stores open for at least a year rose more than 8% in the month of May, and for the year, sales at those stores are up more than 7%.
And even with the growth, CVS still trails rival Walgreens in terms of revenue. CVS CEO Tom Ryan is focusing on closing this gap, in part by expanding its product offerings at the retailer, which has stores in nearly 40 states.
Our CC Rogers headed to Rhode Island to talk with Ryan about his prescription for success and this week's Destination CEO.
Michael, how are you?
Good. How you doing today?
Tom Ryan and CVS have grown up together. Originally known as consumer value stores, CVS morphed from a small New England chain into the top retail pharmacy in the U.S.
I always get a kind of a rush when I go back to our pharmacies.
He started at CVS as a pharmacist right after graduating from pharmacy school at the University of Rhode Island, where now there's a Ryan Center basketball arena. His early passion growing up in New Jersey was sports.
I wanted to be Mickey Mantle. I grew up a Yankee fan. Who doesn't want to be Mickey Mantle?
Ryan played high school basketball and baseball, but he wasn't good enough to play at the college level, so he looked for other careers.
I was a delivery driver for a local independent pharmacy. That's how I got into it.
It turns out that career choice was just what the doctor ordered. CVS co-founder Stanley Goldstein gave him his first big break.
They actually had a vacancy in the pharmacy department there, and he was the acting head. And then he was doing such a great job. Mr. Goldstein asked, why can't we just make him a permanent director? And they said, well, he's too young. He's only 29. And he said, well, he'll grow into it.
By 1994, Ryan was CEO of the drugstore chain. He and Goldstein went on an acquisition spree. They bought out Revco drugstores, then Eckerd, and this year, Save-On and Osco stores in Chicago and California. The result? CVS has quadrupled in size in just the past decade. Friends like real estate developer Paul Choquette say Ryan isn't likely to slow down either.
I think he's one of those executives that never stops thinking about the business. When he's at leisure, when he's out to dinner, that brain is working all the time, thinking about things that he can do to move that company ahead.
Ryan has had his challenges, such as a sharp drop in sales in 2001 that forced the closing of more than 200 stores. CVS returned to health quickly and now has more stores than Walgreens. But Walgreens makes more money with its focus on selling mass merchandise, whereas 70% of CVS's sales are in the pharmacy. But what single item is the biggest seller at CVS?
Actually, Hershey chocolate is our biggest selling item.
Followed by Marlboro cigarettes. CVS just signed an agreement with the state attorneys general to work harder at preventing cigarette sales to minors.
Maybelline is really expanded.
Ryan has made an intense study of his customers, and it turns out that more than 80% of them are women. One secret to CVS's success is narrowly targeting its products to 3 prototype women. Market research told Ryan they wanted lower shelves, wider aisles, and more upscale products like Lumaine, a cosmetic from Finland. Back at the pharmacy, robots dispense pills so pharmacists can spend more of their time explaining the new Medicare program to senior citizens.
My mother's 86, and I said, what are you going to do? She said, well, I'm waiting to talk to you.
Even if customers can buy cheaper generic or Canadian drugs, Ryan isn't worried. After all, CVS started as consumer value stores and wound up having the last laugh on most of its competitors. For Business Week weekend, I'm CC Rogers in Wakefield, Rhode Island.
And CVS is still looking to grow, focusing on boosting its share of the pharmacy market in California, Florida, and Texas.
And to see a longer discussion with Tom Ryan and other CEOs, you can watch CEO Exchange on many PBS stations. It's produced in association with Business Week weekend, so you can check your local listings.